You know, Democrat lawfare is still alive and well, even despite the fact it likely cost them the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives in November. They're still conducting it. And it seems like to me, Democrats have become way too comfortable with stripping people's freedoms away if you don't agree with their agenda of worshiping woke ideology. I cannot believe they're still going with this. The latest case, you may have heard about it. It occurred up in the state of Maine, where they continue to allow men playing in women's sports. So here we go. Maine Representative Laurel Libby is leading the fight back against the insanity. But now she's been censured and lost her right to cast a vote in Maine's state house. Think about that. She is an elected state representative, and she sees an issue going on, and she's speaking out about it. And now she's had her right to speak on the House floor there and vote on behalf of her constituents. This isn't just an attack of civil liberties on her. It's on the people who have entrusted her to represent them when it comes to state matters. Libby and everyone in her district are being told to shut up and do as you're told by the Democrats of their state, because they are hell-bent on implementing woke into society. Democrats are stripping away Mainers' rights to have a say in things, and I think this needs to be called out, don't you? So let me take you through what has happened again just real quick. Libby made a post on social media calling out the fact a man beat a bunch of women in their pole vaulting high school championships. There's the post. You can see. Notice anything a little weird about it? A trans girl kind of looks like a guy. It's a guy. Pretty different. Pretty different physically, huh? Bigger, stronger, muscular. Bigger than the other two girls. Way bigger. Anyways, the Democrat Party threw the book at her. Libby tried to defend herself with a speech on the Maine House floor yesterday, and here's how it started.
My speech does include some background to this post and the events thereafter. So I hope I will not be silenced during the middle of my speech.
Well, there you heard. She asked not to be interrupted. Well, how do you think that went? Let's look.
Over the last 6 years, the chief executive and legislative Democrats have done as they pleased, ignoring the will of the Maine people.
The member will defer. The chair will recognize the representative from Portland, Representative Moonen, and inquire to his point of order.
Okay, there you hear. She was interrupted right out of the gate and many times after, so you get the point. Maine Democrats went on to vote 75-70 against Libby, and she's now no longer allowed to speak on the floor or vote until she apologizes. She has to apologize. Kiss the Democrat ring, bow down, or you can't be a lawmaker anymore. I think this is dangerous. I think a lot of what we've seen from Democrats is dangerous, though. Here's the funny part. They are arguing that the reason Libby is being punished isn't for speaking out about this issue. It's because the post Libby made was that of a minor and showed their picture, a public picture, mind you. But I'm not buying that. I think it's because light is being shed on the fact that in Maine, men are still being allowed to compete against women. And now everybody, it's in the national spotlight. But like I said, go against Democrats when they have power and you just might face punishment. I think the perfect example of that is everything we've seen done to President Trump and his allies, but many others have faced punishment as well. How about the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams? He spoke out against the migrant crisis. That was a woke thing. He was hit with a federal case. But there's more. How about parents at school board meetings? They had the FBI come after them. How about pro-life advocates who prayed outside of abortion clinics? They were arrested, and Trump, after he got into office again, he had to come in and pardon them. I mean, look at the state of Iowa Capitol today. This was it, taken over by trans activists. Why? Their lawmakers are beginning to remove woke gender stuff from law out there, and that's the reaction. Go in there, storm it, and take over the Capitol. Like I said, this has all gone too far, and the left is too comfortable with going after people who don't agree. And here, I'll say it, what we're all thinking, this stuff isn't normal. Men playing in women's sports is not normal. How many times are we going to have to watch a guy enter into a women's sporting event and completely dominate them? How many times are we going to have to see this? Leah Thomas at Penn goes on to win the race by dozens of lengths. Crush him. How about dominating in women's basketball just as well? There's a guy ripping a girl to the ground. This is ludicrous. How about dominate in a track and field race? Why do we have this going on in the United States of America, or like up in Maine at a pole vaulting competition just as well? I wonder how we got here sometimes. You know, when I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, this kind of crap wasn't even on the radar. It was nowhere to be found, but I'll take a stab at it. It was happening behind the scenes. After years and years of shoveling DEI garbage into every facet of our lives, schools, businesses, everything, which Trump and Doge is weeding out, this is the result now. But now the people who had to learn this stuff and were indoctrinated into it, they are adults. And they've become, in some cases, lawmakers, like in the state of Maine. And they don't think it's a big deal to strip an elected state representative's rights away when she speaks out. This stuff has got to go, everybody. And I think part of the problem is more people don't speak up about it, but they're starting to. They're starting to have more courage. And Laurel Libby from the state of Maine is someone who is, and she joins us again tonight. Laurel, thanks for coming on. Good to see you. I was just with you here on Finnerty on Monday. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely. So talk about it. On Monday night, before we left, I said, don't quit fighting. Keep pushing. But now your fight has got a lot bigger in your state. Talk about what they've done to you and the steps you're trying to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, bullies are pretty predictable. And so, as anticipated, Speaker Ryan Fecteau and the Democrat majority did censure me. And they have declared that I cannot vote or speak on the floor until I apologize. But if there's one thing that I know about bullies, is you don't back down. And so I have no intention of backing down from this fight and will continue to speak up for Maine girls.
You know, I was thinking about this apology they want you to have to make. Who deems that it's a good enough apology? You know, like when you're young, you're growing up, you do something wrong and you apologize to your parents or something. That's not good enough. They are belittling you so much. Mind you, it was a guy up there on the podium that put this against you.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a meeting with Speaker Fecteau before the censuring as they laid out how this would go down. And when I ended the meeting, I told Speaker Fecteau that he would go down in history as the man who silenced a woman for speaking up for girls. And he didn't love that, but that's the fact. And three guesses who has to approve the apology.
I would guess him. It would
Yes.
be him. Yes. Yeah. Unbelievable there. I don't feel bad just for you. I commend you for what you're doing. I know you have a tremendous fight ahead of you, but it's your constituents just as well. You are their state elected representative. You are their voice. So if some votes come through your House floor here and you're not there, you can't cast your ballot. They've had their civil liberties taken away from them by this happening. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, they absolutely have. You know, I have 9,000 or so constituents in my House district who are now left voiceless. You know, this is so typical of Augusta Democrats. They want to silence Maine girls. They want to silence my constituents and firm up their majority. Frankly, this is a big help to them. They only have a slim majority in the first place. And so this just helps them in so many ways.
I read you said that Democrats underestimate how big of an issue this is to Americans. I do not. I think this is a major issue just morally as a country, having a sane and moral country. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's such a concrete issue of fairness. And Americans and Mainers understand that. The vast majority of the population in our country believes that biological males should not be participating in girls' sports. That is hard and fast. And I found that to be quite true in Maine as I hear feedback from folks. Our local paper in my area just published a news piece outlining that I'm firmly backed by my constituents. And this is in mainstream media. The people on the street interviews say they are against the censuring and they don't believe that biological males belong in girls' sports.
Democrats, too. I think you've spoken with Democrats who have no guts in your state right now. They don't want to come up because you go against woke, and if they have any little bit of power, I said in the opening, they'll try and wield it against you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the Democrats have made a pretty major misstep here. And I don't think they understand how many folks within their own party, everyday Mainers, don't support this agenda that they're advocating. I've heard from a lot of Democrats within our state who don't support biological males in girls' sports and don't support that agenda. So I think they're wildly out of touch with the population in our state.